Before we get into today's video, I did want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Christina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. Hope everybody is doing good, you guys. We are at the end of September. We're about to be into October. Are y'all ready for the holiday season? I'm emotionally ready. You know that feeling of like walking in places and hearing like the holiday music or the Christmas music and everywhere smelling like Christmas, but yet I'm definitely not ready, okay? Whew. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the story of Luke Mitchell and Jodi Jones. Now, this happened in Scotland back in 2003, and a lot of stuff has changed since this incident has happened. A lot of stuff has come out, and people have very differences of opinions about what actually happened. Now I'm gonna do like I typically do. I'm gonna tell you guys the whole entire story from the best of my ability, from very, very, very public information that is already out there. And then at the end, I'm going to give you guys an alternate conclusion, like something else that could have possibly happened because new information has come out. And then I'm gonna tell y'all my opinion, whether I think they got it right the first time or if I think that they got it wrong. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, HelloFresh. Kickstart a fresh fall routine with HelloFresh. HelloFresh handles all of the meal planning and shopping to deliver everything you need to cook up a tasty meal right at home. They do the hard part and you get to take the credit. And when it comes to options, honestly, more is more. And that's why HelloFresh's menu includes 40 recipes and over 100 add-on items to choose from every single week. And HelloFresh is so much more than just dinners. You can stock your fridge with breakfast items, delicious lunches, and lots of snacks. Just shop HelloFresh Market and add any of these tasty time-saving solutions to your weekly box. Me and my family always look forward to getting our HelloFresh delivery because we know we're gonna get tasty, delicious meals that fit our lifestyle. And for me specifically, I am a big fan of the quick and easy because I can get a good, nutritious, and delicious meal on the table for my family in like 30 minutes or less. If you want to try HelloFresh, all you gotta do is go to HelloFresh.com and use my code 50ChristinaRandall and you can get 50% off of your first box today plus free shipping. Yes, just go to HelloFresh.com, use my code 50ChristinaRandall and you can start saving today. Thanks again, HelloFresh. So let's just start at the beginning. Luke Mitchell was born on July 24th, 1988. He's the youngest of two children to his parents. Now, Luke's parents separated when he was just 11 years old. So Luke ended up being raised by his mother, Corrine, in a middle-class neighborhood in New Battle, which is a village that's about 7 miles from Edinburgh, Scotland. Luke enjoyed music, riding horses, and motorcycles, and he went to go on to St. David's RC High School, and he was considered a really good student. Now, when Luke was a young teenager, he met a girl named Jodi Jones who was just one grade below him. Jodi Jones was born in 1989 in East Houses, Scotland, which is another small town, which was pretty much like in the same area where Luke was, you know, like same area, a bunch of little small towns. They were really close to each other. Jodi was the youngest of 3 children to her parents, James and Judy Jones. Jodi's parents were working class and they both worked for the Royal Mail, which is pretty much like the U.S. Postal Service that we have here. They call it the Royal Mail over there. Jody was described as a bright, level-headed, really good young girl. She enjoyed watching the shows Friends. She did really well in school, and her principal even said that she had a really bright future ahead of her. Jody was also into painting and poetry, and she loved her family very much. Jody was super close with her older sister, Janie. Are you guys getting the pattern here? Jody's dad's name is James. Her mom's name is Judy. Then you got Jody, and then you got her older sister, Janie. So you guys see that they got the J thing going on here. Anyways, Jody was super close with her oldest sister, and her mother always affectionately referred to Jody as a wee mentor. However, in 1998, Jody's father actually was struggling mentally, and he ended it all. And the whole entire family was shattered, as you guys can imagine. And it was so hard on everybody in the family that Judy, the mother, actually had to quit her job so she could give all of her attention to her 3 children. I mean, it just rattled everything in their lives. It was so bad that Jody's older sister actually ended up moving out of the house and moved in with her grandmother for a while because she was just, allegedly saying that the trauma was too hard and just too much for her to bear there in the home. But she did eventually end up moving back into the house with her mother and her sisters. As a teenager, Jody developed a typical rebellious side. She started pushing the limits. She started talking back more and trying to see what she could get away with. She even dyed her hair really fun colors. She started listening to a lot of heavy metal. You guys, it sounds like so rebellious, but she dyed her hair all these colors, but she was allegedly doing other things too. But I'm describing you her teenage years. She was listening to heavy metal bands like Metallica, and she even began to experiment with substances. And this brings us to when Luke and Jody met. Jody and Luke would get together and meet on the school campus along with other students so they could hang out, sneak around, smoke green, and skip classes and stuff. And then in 2003, when the two of them were both 14 years old, this is when they started dating. Now, Jody considered Luke to be her serious boyfriend, and she quickly believed that she fell in love. Y'all remember that young puppy love? It hurts, okay? And it feels so strong. And that is how she felt. She felt like she was head over heels in love with Luke. And not only was she in love, the two of them became very intimate and was going all the way. So she really just felt like she was going to marry Luke. And in an entry from Jody's diary in the spring or early summer of 2003, she wrote, "I think I'm actually in love with Luke. Not in a stupid way. I mean real love. God, I think I would die if he finished with me. If I am crying, he hugs me and strokes my face. He is just so sweet. No matter what he says, I believe him." Now, initially, Jody kept this relationship with Luke a secret from everybody, but eventually she just felt like she could not hold it in any longer and she had to tell somebody. So this is when Jody told her older sister, Janie, and at this point, she was 19 years old. She just began to talk to her older sister. She was telling her how in love she was with Luke and how sweet he was, how dreamy he was, and oh my gosh, he holds me if I'm crying, all of that stuff. Then she also told her older sister that she was being intimate with Luke. And this is when her older sister thought, I need to tell our mom because she's 14. It's going a little bit further than just, puppy love and writing notes to each other. So Janie did go and tell Jody's mom about the relationship. From what it seems, Jody's mom really tried to tiptoe and wanted to meet Luke. And, she was trying to be careful. I mean, the family had already been through so much with James, ending it all, that she decided listen, hey, if you're in love with him, I want to meet him. Bring him over. Let's meet him. So Luke agreed and he came over to the house in May of 2003 and he met the whole entire family. And although he was definitely a little rough around the edges, I mean, Luke had a reputation of doing some really weird stuff too, but we'll get to that more in this video. They were really trying until Jody's mom found out that Jody was using substances and using them with Luke. Okay, again, she's 14, she's smoking that stuff, she's drinking, and Jody's mom did what any good mom would do, and she said, hey, this isn't going to work. You're going to have to, I'm grounding you. It seems like she wasn't just trying to forbid her from seeing Luke, but she was trying to set boundaries and protect her daughter. However, even though Jody's mom grounded her, she was going to be grounded until June 30th, Jody was still sneaking around to see Luke. I mean, this sounds like every teenage puppy love story, right? She was still sneaking to see him. There was this little trail that she would sneak over to meet and see him at where they would, kiss. And I love you so much. My mom is so mean, all that stuff. And it just went on like that while she was grounded. However, Jody was so excited because when June 30th came around, she was done with being grounded and she was so excited to finally be able to go see her precious Luke again. And when 5 p.m. came, this is when she left the house to go and meet Luke to hang out with him. She told her family that she was leaving and that she would see them later. She had her curfew, but when they didn't hear from Jody in a timely fashion and she wasn't back home when she was supposed to be, this is when they started to look for her because this was not like Jody. Jody's family then reached out to Luke and was like, hey, where is she at? He said, I don't know. She never made it here. They were suspicious of that. Like, what are you talking about? She was supposed to meet you at this time. She was supposed to be home at this time. He said, I haven't seen her. And they said, well, we're going to go and look for her. And Luke said, okay, I'm going to come too. This is when Luke took himself and the people that came with him along with his dog, and they went to go and meet Jody's family to look for her. Because again, it's two small little towns by each other. They would walk back and forth to meet each other. They would meet in these trails. And then Luke got with her family and they went to these trails and quick. It was at 10:30 p.m. Quickly after they got there, Luke's dog hit on something. This is when Luke was looking through the bushes and he saw something white on the ground. Jody's family went over to see what the dog was seeing and what Luke was seeing with his eyes, and this is where they found Jody lying, deceased. And she wasn't just deceased. Jody had been brutally murdered. What had been done to 14-year-old Jody still sticks with the investigators to this day. And strangely, it was said that Jody's wounds really closely resembled the Black Dahlias, okay? Now, if you guys don't know about the Black Dahlia, you can find what happened to her back in 1947 all over the internet. She was an actress. Her name was Elizabeth Short. And what happened to her was crazy the way she was found. And something else that was strange was that near a tree where Jody's body was found, the initials LM and JJ were carved into a tree, literally right there. Now, Luke's dog, Mia, was actually being trained to track. So the fact that Luke's dog went right to Jody's body was super impressive, but it also started to look really suspicious too. She was supposed to go with you, okay? She didn't go with you, you said. You come to help search. Your dog leads us right to her body where it's carved into a tree, your initials and her initials. An autopsy did reveal that Jody's life ended by sharp object and that she had wounds all over her, like her chest, her neck. She had lots of defensive wounds, and she had so many wounds in her neck that she was almost I mean, it was bad. Now, Jody's family and others, including the investigators, started to think that Luke had to have had something to do with this. I mean, it seems like that Jody's, her whole rebellious side, everything had pretty much stemmed from when she got with Luke anyways. I mean, she started using substances, started lying to her family, getting grounded, being intimate. And now, as soon as she gets off of being grounded, she goes to meet him and she's found in this position and he brings them right to the body. So all of it was like, wait a minute. Where were you at this time? They all started to look at Luke. However, Luke swore he had nothing to do with it. He said up and down, there is no way I would ever hurt her. I had nothing to do with this. And it became so tense between the two families, Luke's family and Jody's family, that Jody's family asked Luke not even to come to the funeral. They said that they did not want this to be made a spectacle of. Now, in these small towns, the newspapers obviously began to report on this. And in the spot where Jody's body was found was actually quite close to a high school. So you guys can only imagine the high school students, 14-year-old boyfriend near a high school, small towns. Everybody was talking about this. And Jody's family did not want the funeral to be made a circus. Not to mention, Luke had quite a bad reputation. He was the town weirdo, self-proclaimed. He called himself that, the town weirdo. As a matter of fact, when the investigators went in to search his room, they found bottles upon bottles of urine, where he was like urinating in bottles and saving them for some reason. He had all kind of writings and drawings of 666 and Satan and devil worship. The town believed that he was obsessed with the things of Marilyn Manson. And guys, you got to remember early 2000 Marilyn Manson. Okay? My Marilyn Manson fans out there, y'all don't come for me. In the early 2000s, and you add it into everything we're talking about, all the PP in the bottles and the 666 and the this and the that and the girl's body being found. I mean, come on. People were like, hold up. Now, they called Luke in for questioning, but at the time, they didn't have enough to charge him with anything. But he quickly became the main suspect. As a matter of fact, his mother was questioned as well, and she would later say that she saw the tape where she was questioned and it said witness on it, and then she saw the tape where her son was questioned and it had suspect written on it. Okay. Now, Luke was eventually allowed to go back to school. However, the school board wanted him separated from the other students. I wonder how they thought they were going to make that work out like that, like separating one student from all the other students. They had some sort of plan, but the plan didn't work because 2 months after Luke was back in school, he ended up being suspended from school because he would not stay separated from the other students. Now, investigators were hot on Luke's trail. He was the main suspect and the only suspect. In 10 months after Jody's body was found, they arrested Luke for the murder of 14-year-old Jodi Jones. He was also charged with possession of a knife or knives in a public place, including his school, and of supplying green to the students there. And the timing of this meant that he could actually be tried as an adult. Investigators were later criticized for initially questioning him without a guardian present. Now, when they went in and they started confiscating stuff out of his room in order to build this case. I already told y'all about some of the stuff that they confiscated, but they also confiscated a copy of The Golden Age of Grotesque by Marilyn Manson, which contained a short film called Doppelhers. A 10-minute clip from the film, as well as several paintings by Marilyn Manson, shown the Black Dahlia's mutilated body that was allegedly purchased 2 days after Jody's death. So at this point, the whole town is talking. Okay, he's arrested. He's 14. They done found all this wild stuff. I mean, the kids, the students at the high school are talking. You can only imagine. They're like, oh my gosh, I was smoking with him. Oh my gosh, I drank with him. Psst, 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 psst. Oh, he has always been weird. Oh, I seen him peeing in the bottle. So they're all whispering. Everything is spreading. And basically, they know they've got the guy at this point. Luke's trial took place at the High Court in Edinburgh. Now, he pled not guilty, and he claimed that he had an alibi and that he was actually home cooking when this happened. Now, Luke did not testify on his own behalf. However, the prosecution said that he had guilty knowledge because basically he was the one that led the search straight to her body. A woman even testified that she had seen someone that looked like Luke near the murder scene. And another witness said that they saw 2 people that looked like Luke and Jody at the East House's end of path at around 4:50 p.m., with another 2 witnesses claiming to have seen Luke at the New Battle End 50 minutes later. Now check this out. Luke's brother said that he was actually home this night and that he was watching porno. When he was questioned on that, he said nobody else was home with him. And how did he know for sure? He said because he would never be watching porno if anybody else was home. So this started making it seem like Luke was lying about being home. But it wasn't just that. Luke's mother would say that he was home and she was home with him. So she was his witness. But it came out later that she lied, that Luke wasn't home and that she lied about it and that the brother actually was at home alone watching videos. The prosecution's whole case was basically that Luke was obsessed with the Black Dahlia, okay? He was obsessed with that whole scene. He had even written stuff about like wanting to commit certain crimes when he smoked a lot of cannabis, and that he was also obsessed with Marilyn Manson, which again, Marilyn Manson's image that he willingly put out there, decades ago, portrayed a certain type of, lifestyle or rituals or whatever. And then also the writings and the timing and leading them to the body. They even found a knife pouch in Luke's home that they say that he had marked with JJ 1989 to 2003. And on it was written, "The finest day I ever had was when tomorrow never came." The prosecution said it would be unlikely for anyone but the killer to remember someone killed with a knife in this way. It's almost like they believed that this like knife pouch with this carving in it was some sort of like trinket or shrine, or we know that sometimes people that commit heinous crimes will do stuff like that. Like, who else would carve into this knife sheath? Like, the finest day I ever lived was the day that tomorrow never came. The investigators were like, this is our guy. He is the one that did this. And it didn't just stop there. The knife that went with that pouch was never found. And some of Luke's clothes were missing. According to the prosecution, somebody in the neighborhood had actually called the police and said that that night that she went missing, Luke was in the backyard burning something weird in like this burning barrel, and it had a funny smell. Well, the prosecution said that he actually burned his clothes or his jacket that he had wore that day for some strange reason, and that his mother, Corrine, went out and bought him a brand new jacket and then lied about it. She allegedly told investigators and the public that, I didn't buy him that jacket, just like she allegedly had said that he was home with her. However, when the investigators went and got this burn barrel and tested the contents of it, they couldn't find anything. They could not find anything worth, evidence to go against him in the case. It was just a lot of strange whispers or rumors. 122 items were taken from the crime scene. Now get this, allegedly, there was 2, I believe, different male DNAs that were found on Jody's body, okay? Neither one of them belonged to Luke. Allegedly, one of those DNAs belonged to the fiance of Jody's older sister, which, what? Now, it is rumored that Jody actually was wearing her older sister's shirt, and that was probably how the DNA was like transferred. She was wearing her older sister's shirt. Her older sister was always with her boyfriend, but still it was kind of like, what? That's weird. And when the defense made their case, they really, really honed in on the media and how the media had made Luke out to be this horrible person. Yeah, he was weird. He was the town weirdo by his own admission. Yeah, he was into some things that were not super popular. He pushed the limits. He was disrespectful. But the defense was trying to prove a point that he was not an actual murderer. They also brought up the fact that this crime scene was so gruesome. Again, she was nearly decapitated. She had been cut in her throat anywhere from 12 to 20 times, and it was really, really bad. However, they found none of her blood DNA on Luke or anywhere in his home. They also said that Luke had no wounds on him at all, and that Jody had defensive wounds on her, which they believed meant that whoever attacked her definitely would have had some wounds because she fought back. But again, Luke had nothing. The jury was even taken to the scene so they could see specifically the spot where Jody's body was found and everything around it. And then on January 20th of 2005, both sides had rested their case and the jury went out for deliberations. The jury deliberated for 5 hours, just 5 hours, and they came back with a guilty verdict. After the jury came back with their verdict, The judge said, "It lies beyond any skill of mine to look into the black depths of your mind. I can only look at what you have done. You have been convicted of a truly evil murder, one of the most appalling crimes that any of us can remember, and you will rightly be disregarded as wicked." And on February 11th of 2005, the judge told Luke that he would spend a minimum of 20 years in prison before being considered for parole. There has been a lot of people that have believed that Luke was railroaded by the media and that somebody else did this. There's actually a lot of people that think that it was more than one person involved and that it was not Luke. And because of this, he's had quite a few supporters and he has been able to file a few appeals. Now, they've all been denied. And as a matter of fact, in 2019, a GoFundMe was set up to raise funds for an appeal or for his defense. And GoFundMe shut it down because they said it was against their terms of service. So he's filed for it and it's been shut down. Now, he has maintained his innocence this whole time. Since 2003, he is innocent. As a matter of fact, he even said that if they offered him to be released today, if he would just admit that he did it, that he would never admit it because he did not do this. So let's talk about the alternate theory. In May of 2007, a BBC Scotland, Frontline Scotland documentary special was broadcast about the case on BBC One. It explored a theory not followed up by the police during the initial investigation, that the murder may have been committed not by Luke, but by a student and heavy substance user who is alleged to have handed in an essay about ending a girl's life in the woods a few weeks before the whole incident took place. Now, a friend of this suspect actually said that they saw this guy after the murder of Jody, and he had scratches all over his face. The documentary also challenged the theory that Luke was an obsessive Marilyn Manson fan and had an interest in the Black Dahlia. The documentary stated that there was no evidence that Luke knew of the Black Dahlia case until after the incident with Jody. A professor even pointed out that the injuries to Jody and those to the Black Dahlia victim were not that similar. And it was also said in the documentary that after they searched Luke's computer, they didn't find any links to the Black Dahlia or the Marilyn Manson paintings, and that none of this was actually true. Jody's family was allegedly outraged by this documentary. They were not happy at all. And it was also reported that maybe they admitted that they never even watched it, but nevertheless, they were pretty mad about it. And in March of this year, 2023, I mean, this is all still coming back up and happening now, almost 20 years later, Luke's legal team accused the police of failing to do forensic tests on samples found on Jody at the time of the incident. They said this highlighted the possibility that someone else was responsible for the crime and cast further doubt over Luke's conviction. Now again, Luke is still saying that he's innocent. Okay, 20 years later, he's saying he's innocent. He's done interviews while being in prison, and he said that he will never admit that he did it because he didn't. He even went as far as taking a lie detector test while he was in prison. And the lie detector test was actually uploaded to YouTube, allegedly with the prison's permission.
My name is Terry Mullins. I'm a polygraph examiner. Today is the 25th of April 2012. The person taking the test is Luke Mitchell. Do you understand that I will only ask you the questions we discussed?
Yes.
Regarding the death of Jody, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Prior to Jody going missing, do you remember going out of your way to physically hurt someone?
No.
Did you know for certain where Jody's body would be found?
Not just that, Luke's mother allegedly took a lie detector test within 2 months. I don't know who took it first. And according to people that are really like pushing for Luke's conviction to be overturned, they say that Luke and his mother, Corrine, didn't even know the questions that were going to be asked, but they took the lie detector test and both of them passed. Flying colors. Both of them passed. Now, at this time, Luke is 34 years old and still again claiming that he's innocent, and he said that he'll never stop trying to get his conviction overturned. Now, Luke is allegedly set to possibly be released next year. He would, I believe, go up for parole, but according to what I've seen online, in order to get approved for parole, you have to show remorse for your actions. And if Luke doesn't go up there and say, yes, I did this, I'm sorry, this is what I've learned, he's not going to get released. And recently, he allegedly has failed 2 random drug tests, which means he could end up facing, I believe, another 3 years on top. So what do I think about this? I do not know, okay? I think there's a good chance that he did do it, okay? I know that that's not super popular. I've read so many forums and read opinions, and a lot of people believe that he's innocent. I believe there's a good chance that he did do it. However, I don't think that I would have been able to convict him. I don't think that they had enough to prove that he did it. And I wouldn't have been able, even though I think that it's possible that he did it, I don't know if I would have enough of that think in order to convict him. And that's it. A lot of people think that he was convicted, not because there was enough evidence to prove that he is the one that actually did it, but because of the rumors in the town. You know, everybody believed he did it. And they thought a maniac was on the loose and they wanted to lock that maniac up. Him passing a lie detector test. There are ways that people can do that. And I don't know if they told him to sit there still with his eyes closed like that. I've never seen anybody take a lie detector test like that. But when I saw it, I thought either somebody told him to sit like that or he is trying real hard not to set that thing off. But then when I hear him speak and I see him speak, he seems genuine. But then I'm so back and forth with it. I don't really know. I also find it interesting that he did not have any defensive wounds on him. It seems like he would have had something, a scratch, a drop of blood, something. But then again, I don't know. Did he take all of his stuff and burn it in that burn barrel? And I mean, it was crisp, nothing but ash and dust. And maybe in 2003, they didn't have the, scientific equipment to test things the way that they do now. And his mom did take him and buy a new jacket. Like, I don't know, I'm back and forth with it. So I think that there's a possibility that he did do it. And I think that there's a possibility that he didn't. But it's so weird too, because when somebody, commits this type of crime that's this bad, typically when they get away with it, they try to go after and do it again, right? They get that little taste and they got away with it and they want to go and kill again. But it seems like that didn't happen. Did it not happen because whoever did this got scared? Or did it not happen because whoever did this is behind bars? I don't know. There's a lot of people that believe he's innocent. There's a lot of people that believe that he is guilty. And again, I don't know. I do hope that Jody's family has some peace. I wonder if all of this stuff brings it back up again. I know that that's got to be painful for them. I mean, if he's innocent, then he has no choice but to continue to fight this, no matter how painful it is for the other side. But I can only imagine that this constantly being brought back up, all these documentaries has got to be really hard on them. So I do hope that they are okay. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think down below if y'all heard about this case. I'm really curious to see y'all's opinion. Other than that, I love you guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and I will see y'all in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.